we've had this playoff for 7 years now, 4 spots per year. That's 28 spots. 16 have gone to Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State. Let people out there, let that sink in. 3 schools have taken up 16 of 20. They can only take up so many spots. They've taken up 16 of 28. Those 3. And a lot of people joke, and it's really not much of a joke, that it's almost become those 3, and then we rotate the 4th spot. It goes to Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Georgia. They're about the other 3 that figure into the mix. Is that bad for college football?
Well, we can't help who wins. I mean, if it's not Clemson today, another team. I get what you're saying there too, and I know that that's not directed towards me. It's just the question, the answer. You can't control who wins. I mean, if Ohio State is going to continue doing what they're doing, if Dabo Swinney stayed there another 10 years and he continues to adapt to the game, he continues to have good culture, he continues to surround himself by great coaches, they're going to continue to win. And so is Bama. Whenever Saban says it's done, okay, we can start talking that maybe it's not going to happen. But those 3 teams have decided their destiny. And it's time that teams like, if Georgia and Oklahoma, let's stop there. Oklahoma has been the embarrassment of a lifetime when it comes to this college football playoff. If there is one team who has went in and embarrassed not only themselves, but their conference, it's Oklahoma. And I've even said, I mean, this year when they lost that second game, I started clapping like I was high on some type of weird drug. I was like, yes, we don't have to worry about hearing them chirp that we need to be in and that this is this year and what does last year's playoff have to do with it? No, it's last year's playoff and the other playoff. And then you had that one good game against Georgia in the Rose Bowl that you lost. We're tired of seeing you get shellacked. And if the coin is going to be flicked up between you and somebody else, for the love of God, would the committee take their pills that day and put in somebody other than you? But to answer your question, if Ohio State's going to keep winning, Clemson's going to keep winning, and Alabama's going to keep winning, if everybody else don't like it, how about you change what you've been doing and beat them? I mean, that's how you solve it. Beat them. Knock Ohio State out. If the Big Ten is sick of Ohio State running things, don't expect Ohio State to step back and go, you know what, guys, I think we just need to be a conference team player. And let's, PJ Fleck, I like how he stands on the sideline and looks half mad the whole time. Let's put him in. That's not going to happen. And Alabama is going to keep crushing people as long as they want to. I mean, really, the SEC is Alabama and everybody else. We know that. I know Florida came in and gave them a good game and it ran down to the wire. But consistently, Alabama and everybody else. So if anybody doesn't like it, beat them.
Because if we're having this conversation any offseason over the last 5 years, and certainly the last offseason, and we polled the entire chat, we got 226 on the line, 80% of the people predicting the playoff, if we gave them a poll, are going to say Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and then there's going to be another team. Like it's become that predictable.
Well, I mean, it goes back to these teams have to. I mean, if you really want to, you have to get granular with your fix, with your resolution. Okay, let's look at the SEC. While the rest of the 13 teams are beating their chest, talking about history, Alabama is talking about their future, and they're winning big. And it's crazy. If you find a good Clemson fan who's realistic, they'll tell you, just like myself, we have a ton of respect for Alabama. We love trash talking Ohio State, but at the end of the day, even though we haven't lost to them yet, and knock on press wood, we don't next week, we have respect for them that they have the program that they have. I can't say I respect Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I know they have history. They do have good athletes. I think Lincoln Riley is a good coach. But at the level that I respect Ohio State, no. Why? They hadn't earned it. I mean, if you show up to the party empty-handed all the time, that's not my fault. It's your fault. And then on the granular part, and I went on a nice little jab at Oklahoma just for fun. This is where it comes back to athletic departments making stupid hires. If you're angry that Ohio State is winning all the time, you have to make better hires. You have to make better hires in the SEC. The ACC over the past 2 years has made better hires. That's why our conference is beginning to look better. Go figure. Go figure that the guy who chooses who your coaching staff, who they are, what it consists of, the game plan, the mindset of the program. Who knew that was a big hire? Who knew that could be the outcome? That's why Urban Meyer, no matter where he goes, you could send him to the Red Hat Ladies of Idaho. You could send him to the Blind Boys of New Mexico. He's going to win. Why? Love him or hate him. He's a good coach. Love or hate Dabo Swinney and him bouncing around talking about the Roy bus. He's going to win. Mac Brown, we see him come back to North Carolina. He's winning. It matters who your head coach is. So if you're sick and tired of seeing these teams come in and just absolutely annihilate people, do something. And it's not going to be hiring somebody who has circled the toilet of college football and dropping them in. Now, the rebuttal to that, Mark, is, well, Dabo Swinney wasn't a big hire. I'm going to tell you right now, I was totally pissed off when they hired Dabo Swinney. I was pissed, and especially that second full season when he was 6-7. I was like, what seventh ring of hell are we in now? Nobody knew that. Hey, that's why I say Clemson fans need to chill out, stop taking themselves so serious, because we got lucky. We did. We really, really did. But history shows you that if you hire someone who has – they have a certain coachability about them. They have certain aspects of control and being innovative, yet they can pull the team together. You're going to do well. That's why I looked at the South Carolina Gamecocks and went, I know Shane Beamer, he's a Beamer, and I know he's been at Oklahoma. And one of y'all's big things South Carolina was saying was, he was at South Carolina during the heydays. Yeah, when Steve Spurrier was running things. Shane Beamer, and no offense to him, he makes way more money than me. He has the job that he has. I'm not just sitting here chomping on Shane Beamer. But if you'd have drove just another 2.5 hours on down the road, you could offer a guy who has a team who just a few years ago was one of the worst. He's got them in the top 12. You just beat BYU. They're undefeated. And he's actually a head football coach. You didn't go get him. It goes back to your athletic department, and that's the granular part of it. You have to make good hires. ACC football is changing. Why? Good hires. So if the rest of college football doesn't like that those three teams are running it, make better hires. Otherwise, just show up to the game, take your best pain pills, and it'll make the bruises and the hits not feel so bad, because they're going to bruise you, they're going to hit you, and they're going to beat you.
Dabo's addressed the situation at Clemson when they got serious about football, and has said the other portion of that, Brian, is that the entire university structure, all the power players in the mix have to be on the same page. They all have to say, we're putting our resources toward football. We're going to be a football school. We're committed to winning from the top on down. The president, the chancellor on down have to be on the same page that this is what we're committed to doing. And that doesn't happen everywhere. What you brought up about Urban Meyer going coaching wherever, I always thought that would be a fascinating case study. End of a football season, you take Saban, you take Dabo, you take Urban Meyer when he was on the sidelines, and you go, Saban, you're going to Kansas. Dabo, you're going to Rutgers. Urban Meyer, we're going to send you out to Oregon State, and we'll see what you do next year. That would just be fascinating to see the change.
If you give them 4 years.
Yeah, but even 1 year.
Oh, yeah, even 1 year, yeah. But I'll guarantee you in 4 years, those three men are wrecking so much of the college football world. And it comes back to, University of Tennessee is in a mess. University of Tennessee is in a mess. because of how they've handled everything. You could tell that nobody was on the same page when they were making the Jeremy Pruitt hire. I mean, my God, that one guy, that Curry fella, gets fired because he goes against what so-and-so says. Well, hold on. There's bigger problems than football here. So you're 100% right. We see the reason that Florida State's in the crapshoot that they're in is because their school wasn't behind the football program, and Jimbo Fisher is going, hey, I know y'all think I just do everything here, but I do have to have some help. And I'm not a Jimbo fan. I don't trust Jimbo much farther than I can pick up my neighborhood and move it an inch. But he's a good football coach. And Jimbo just finally got sick and tired of it. He, when that fan was yelling at him and he got into it with the fan, I know everybody says, well, he shouldn't have done that. And I know what is ethical and blah, blah, blah. But I could only imagine how that cat felt walking through there having some guy who's half drunk on Natty Light screaming at the very guy who brought you success. Because when Bowden left, things were not that great. And you have this whole school administration that is not working with you. And then, cousin Eddie that's drunk in his thong sandals is giving you lip. Yeah, I'm going to chew him out. And then after that, I'm going to leave the school. And that's what happened. So you're right. I mean, there's a lot of granular parts. It's a math equation. You change one variable, everything changes. And so it's very, very important. And I'll tell you this, and this is on a whole nother subject, and I've talked much longer than what I planned. I appreciate you having me on. My wife is probably downstairs going, where's he at? But it just bothers me. And I don't have a problem with people being rich. I don't have a problem with capitalism. I don't have a problem with people making money. I mean, you go out there, bust your butt, kudos to you. With that said, I do have a very big problem with these schools throwing around millions and millions of dollars to known losers. It doesn't make sense. It's not a good business decision. It'd be different say today I applied for a job and they were going to pay me $200,000 a year, and they say, well, what did you do on your last job? I lost. Did you hit your goal? There was that one time. But I want you to pay me $200,000 a year to be the VP of this company. It's a small company, and I get like a $50,000 bonus if I hit my goal. And they go, I got you one better than that. We're going to pay you $400,000 and give you a $200,000 bonus, and you've lost everywhere you've been. That's what these schools are doing. And it has created this mess that we have right now, this inflated pay of coaches. You want to pay $10 million a year to Dabo Swinney? He's earned it. Success. Meyer, you want to pay him $10 million? I think Ryan Day's a good coach, but for me, verdict's kind of still out with him because he took over the promised land. He really did. So I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm just saying, wouldn't you like to go coach Ohio State with all that talent? I would, and I hate him. Alabama, $10 million a year. Yep, that makes sense. Lincoln Riley, $5 or $6 million a year. Everybody put this in your pipe and smoke it. What? Brian Kelly's making only what? $1.6, $1.7 million a year as the head coach of Notre Dame, and he's got them in the playoffs. So all this imbalance of throwing money around, it has created a really poor economical system for coaching, and it sucks. And that's why we have these issues that we have, and these ADs and these athletic departments, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing, and it don't reply to me, oh, it's really hard, you don't understand, when a lot of these are the very same people who is so stuck in the annals of academia that they look down the slope of their nose at everybody who's a common person and goes, don't you see that PhD right here? I'm a very smart person. Well, what you do is very stupid. But this says I'm a very smart person. Once again, we go back to what we were talking about earlier: results. It's like having stupid children tossing out millions of dollars to God knows who just because, well, we want to. And it's a mess. It has made coaching a mess. And so it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. These payouts to these coaches is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Will Muschamp is being paid out $21 million between Florida and South Carolina for losing. Now, first of all, Will is the man. He really, really is. He is the flippin'. He's the man. I'm not saying he's a bad football coach. And by the way, I've went on this rant before too, Mark. When a coach gets fired, it's not like if you and I get fired. If you and I get fired, man, we're praying. We're on Indeed.com. We might be looking to, get a certificate or something like that. These guys, they get fired. And yeah, some bad things are said about them. And I take that in consideration. He's going to make $20 million for losing.